All right. Hi, I'm Jackie. I grew up in a small town in Washington called Aberdeen. Right when I was born into a broken family. My father didn't think I was his. He didn't sign my birth certificate. So right off the bat, life was going pretty great for me. Um, my mom remarried and got with this guy who was abusive to not only my mother, but to me and my brother. He was sexually abusive to me. He used to lock me in the closet. This would go on for about a good 5 years, so the first 5 years of my life. And then my grandmother got wind of it, and she took me and my brother. And for like 3 years of our life, we started to have a normal life. My father was in and out of the picture, but he was trying to better himself at the time. So he wasn't, he was just a weekend dad and not every weekend. So we lived with my grandmother and life became normal. I mean, what a normal life was. We, ate dinner together at the table. We went to school on time. We took showers at a normal time every day. Life was what every kid would want. About, I want to say 2 years into that, my mom got her life somewhat together and my grandmother gave us back. And then my mother decided to marry the same man again. So the abuse started over again. A few years down the line, she decided to leave the gentleman. I say gentleman because, he had a lot of problems too. My mom, a lot of problems too. She was an alcoholic and an addict. Every guy that she's been with has been an alcoholic and an addict. And so that's what I grew up around. That's what was around me all my childhood growing up. I took my first drink at 4 years old after a party that my parents had. Me and my brother would go around and we'd take the empty cups and we just drink what was left over from the night before. My mom, bless you. My mom then, after she had left that gentleman, she got with this other guy. Sorry, I use the word gentleman. It's just something I do. She got with this other guy, and this was probably when I was, I'm going to say, just probably about hitting 8th grade. And in 8th grade, I kind of started to drift off a little bit in school. I remember being in a science class and all of us were sitting on the desk, and my science teacher in front of everybody asked if I could sit in a chair because I was making it difficult for all the students to concentrate. And that wasn't the only thing that he would do. He was very sexually, he would make sexual comments to me all the time in front of all the students. So I kind of skidded away from school a little bit, then hit high school. And I tried out for baseball, and I was still hanging out with somewhat of the, I guess you'd say the cool people, the people that were still in school and in sports. And I got sexually harassed by my two coaches. So I quit playing sports. And my mom, like I said, had remarried another guy, and they were alcoholics, no more drugs anymore, but really heavy drinkers. And being that I was, a teenager, we got to party with my my stepdad and my mom because she was a bartender. Before all the games, everybody came to my house and we partied. They bought us all the alcohol, everything we could want. And that's when I kind of started finding a different crew. I really liked the drinking and partying. All my brothers and his friends would come over on the weekends and party, and I really liked that. So during school, I would hang out in front of the church, and that's where all the new cool kids that I would hang out with. And they were the kids that didn't judge me. They didn't look at me differently. I felt like I belonged. I finally had a group of kids that I felt like I could connect with. They weren't the jocks. They weren't the prom princesses. I don't know. I just finally felt like I belonged somewhere. And I started skipping school and started coming to school drunk. And then I just dropped out 9th grade. And I just started partying a lot. I became sexually active in a very, very young age. multiple partners. Just that was the kind of crew that I hung out with. When I started to get into relationships, after watching my mother and her relationships, my thought of what a relationship was like was, abusive. Started out with guys that were just mentally abusive towards me, because at this time, that's who my mom was with this guy, and he was really mentally abusive to her. He would burn her hand in front of us on the stove, just do some really horrific things in front of us. And then I don't know what happened, but my mom just got strong and she walked away from him. But at this point in our life, me and my brother's life, he was getting ready to go to college, and I was just a teenager that didn't go to school and drank and partied and had sex. And that was my life for a while. I moved out at the age of 16 or 17. I just stayed with whoever I wanted to, usually boyfriends or any guy. Started to mess around with some meth, and would just do it on the weekends, and just a weekend warrior. And then eventually that came to an everyday thing for me. And I would have different, every time I drunked a boyfriend, I had a new boyfriend. It was that's what I would find happiness in. If I had to have somebody to make me feel whole, because that's what I knew. Love to me was abusive. It was hurtful. If anybody tried to get close to me that was loving, I would push them away, because I didn't know how to receive people's affection in a good way. So getting a little bit older, my relationships started to get even worse. It wasn't just the mental abuse, it now became physical, and along top of that became sexual. And the drugs just got more and more. And the relationships would be so brutal, and like the more brutal that they would get, the more drugs I would do. I went from snorting meth to smoking meth to shooting meth. And that was my life. I would date drug dealers, and I would just live the fast life. And my mom was a bartender, and our whole family kind of ran a bartending business. So the day after my 21st birthday, excuse me, guess what? I became a bartender. So then the fast life really happened for me. I would bartend during the night, and then after bartending, I would party till the sun came up, sleep, and do it all over again every day. My family, my dad and his new wife, and he had new siblings, really tried for me to be a part of their life, but I didn't want anything to do with it. I didn't know how to be a part of their life. I felt very disclosed from my dad and his new family. I was very angry. I was very hurt, and I was so jealous of their life, because that wasn't a life that I got. Moving a little bit further down, I got into a relationship with this other guy, and I'm probably in my 30s now. And he's just freshly out of prison, drug dealer. God, this is, going to be the best. I love this guy. He's amazing. He's great. And we end up pregnant, and I'm still using drugs this whole time. And I'm keep thinking to myself, oh, I'm going to quit tomorrow. I'm going to quit tomorrow. It's what my head just kept saying, and just kept getting high and kept drinking, oh, I'm going to quit tomorrow. And I always would say, I'm never going to be like my mom. I am never going to be like my mom. There's no way I'm going to, do anything to damage or hurt my kids. No way I'm going to use drugs while I'm pregnant with my kid. And here I am doing not just the same, but 10 times worse than what she did. I'm about 4.5 months pregnant, and I go in and have my daughter 4.5 months early. She was born premature. She could fit in the palm of my hand. And she was born in Seattle in the NICU unit. And the Seattle University, they got me a motel to stay in for free. It was right by the hospital where I could be with my baby. I could be there in the NICU unit and I could watch her grow, and I could, do skin to skin with her and give her her first bath. But what was more important to me, going back and forth to Aberdeen and making sure my boyfriend wasn't cheating on me, and drugs. And that's what was more important to me. And I missed out on all that. The nurses did the skin to skin with her every night. And they gave her her first bath, and they would take CDs and movies for me to watch. And, that didn't matter to me. It just didn't matter. The only thing that mattered is that my abusive boyfriend wasn't cheating on me again. And, she was the healthiest baby in the NICU unit. She was almost 6 pounds when she got to come home. We got her home, and I didn't quit doing drugs, but I slowed down a lot, and I started to become a mother a little bit. And exactly 1 month to having her home, she died in my arms. I woke up to her dead in my arms. She died of SIDS, and I blamed myself. I swore to God, because I did drugs, that she was born premature and that it had something to do with SIDS. And I won't ever know, because nobody really knows what, SIDS is or what it contributes to. But, and then my boyfriend started calling me a baby killer. And then I turned to heroin. And that's when shit really got deep for me. I didn't want to feel anymore. I didn't want to care anymore. I just didn't want to feel. So I started doing a lot of heroin. I would still go to work, but at night I would walk the street. I would go from motel to motel, dingy, dirty places, hanging out with homeless people, not caring, because I didn't give a crap anymore. I didn't care about myself. I didn't care about anything. And here my dad and my other side of the family, they just wanted me to live so bad, but they didn't know how to reach me, and I wouldn't allow them to reach me. I wouldn't. I was just broken. And the only thing that made me feel better was being on the streets, staying with the homeless people, because that's what I felt I deserved. And so my, third overdose, I remember waking up in the hospital and looking above me, and there was my dad and my older brother, and they were both bawling. And they looked at me and they said, "You're going to die, Jackie." And right then and there, something changed within me, and I knew I had to do something. I had to change something, or I was going to die. And for some reason, something happened at the hospital. And for that split second, I wanted to live. I'd wanted to die this whole time. And I don't know if it was one of those God moments they talk about, but I wanted to live finally. So I said, okay, here's the deal. You got to find me a treatment center that I can't walk out of, because I know myself and I'm really good at just walking away from things. So they called around, and there was 2 choices: either come to Great Falls and go to Rocky Mountain Treatment Center, or go to this one in Florida. The thought crossed my mind about Florida, let me tell you, because I was thinking Florida, well, it sounds like, but I know there was something in me that just said, get your butt to Montana. So the day I got out of the hospital, the next day, my brother and my dad had already packed me. They didn't give me a chance to pass go and go collect $200 and go say bye to all my so-called friends. They threw me in the back of the pickup truck, and my brother drove me straight to Montana, detoxing off of heroin. It took us 2 days to get here because of how bad it was for me, just in the back of the pickup truck. And we got to Montana, got me to Rocky Mountain Treatment Center. In Rocky Mountain Treatment Center, after that, I went to sober living in Billings. And I started to live again. I started going to meetings. I started to getting involved. I slowly started to want to live. And, I remembered all those things that they told me, go to meetings, get a sponsor, work the steps, go to meetings, get a sponsor. So that's exactly what I did. And then I had myself in another bad situation because, I want to run the show my own way. So I did exactly what they told me not to do. after sober living. I got an apartment with a guy who was relapsing over and over again because I was going to save him. I'm going to save the world, right? Here I am, not even like 3 months clean and thinking, I'm going to save the world. He got so bad to where either I was going to stay and die with him and start drinking, or I had to do something different. So I had two options: go back to Washington or pack all my stuff and move back to Great Falls, where I started my journey. So that's exactly what I did. I didn't know where I was going to live, what I was going to do, but I drove back to Great Falls. A good friend of mine that I had met while I was in treatment, who used to work there, she let me live with her. And that's where I was introduced to the herd. And with getting introduced to the herd, I got introduced to other programs. I got introduced to Sober Life. I got introduced to, AA, and I started doing things. I started, they just threw me in there. There's like, you start getting in there, you start hanging out with these people that are sober, with like-minded people. That's exactly what I did. And then I then I got a job at Rocky, and and through that job, things have just continued to blossom. Things have continued to grow, and I've continued to work my way up to things that I wanted. And AA fed my soul, but Sober Life, it fed my heart. My heart has been so empty for so long, and I get to do things that I've never done before. I get to volunteer for things, and I played softball. Something that I have been afraid of doing any kind of sport because of my past. I played softball and I ran, and I don't run. And I mean, but these are the things that's sobriety is giving me. It's giving me my life back. It's making me realize that I'm worthy of love, that I'm worthy of a good life. I am deserving of people loving me the right way. I vowed to myself in treatment that I wasn't going to get in a relationship until I loved myself. And I haven't been in a relationship for a little over 2 years now. And, and that's due to this process. They say, we'll love you till you love yourself. Well, I'm learning how to love myself before I love anybody else. I don't know. And I donate my time. I volunteer for things. I just did what was suggested to me. And so far it's working pretty well. And that's all I have.
All right. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Some great stories of hope right there, of overcoming addiction and finding a better way of life. And you can see it. You can see these guys, where they've been and where they are now. And it's just an amazing story. And I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Don't forget, if you're interested, every Tuesday, the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month, 6 p.m. Beating, and then the first and third Thursday of the month, Native American drumming and singing. So, and don't forget our art at the Paris Gibson Square this Saturday, 2 p.m. We have 2 slots open if you're interested. So again, thank you for tuning in, and everyone have a great night.